Good afternoon. Dimitris Charalambopoulos from Athens. And I was planning to talk a lot about European and ASHRAE standards. European standards were covered very well from my colleagues. And if we look at the energy map, both in the States and Europe, we see that about 40%, as the gentleman said, or a third of the total energy goes into buildings, both residential and commercial, and this is the case exactly the same both for Europe and the US. So we have to tackle the buildings. Europe, as we already said, has several directives and EPBD. I will not go further into it. We were trying to go towards nearly zero energy buildings by 2020. In my point of view, we should not be able to achieve easily our goals. We shouldn't make our life very easy. We have to strive to improve our life. Environmental issues existed a long time ago. I can tell you it's written history that they had over 2,500 years ago in ancient Athens. They had environmental issues. We're still talking about them. We'll be talking long after that. They even had zero energy buildings, you know, back then. No consumption of electricity or fossil fuels, and they didn't have heating or ventilation or air conditioning. Our problem now is whether we'll go for near zero energy buildings for new buildings, which is fairly easy, but the majority of the buildings in Europe, at least, it's over 80% exist until 2050. So we have to look how to implement this into existing buildings. And there are 13 jurisdiction criteria for NZEBs. And there exist 8, at least for now, and 4 of them are similar for new and existing buildings, and the others have less strict demands. Even in Europe, we have other particular problems with historical buildings that we have to tackle, and we cannot implement what we as engineers would normally do in new buildings. I won't go through the standards that were well explained. I won't take your time. I will go to the influence of the several committees, SEN and ISO committees, that they work together, and ASHRAE works with ASHRAE standards, and the result is being implemented into our everyday life. And I will go a little bit into ASHRAE, that's founded in 1894. It's a global society. It works on a volunteer basis. It has over 56,000 members in 130 countries that our president said before. And it produces work through its research, through its standards writing, the publishing and the continuing education, which are the wheels that turn the whole ASHRAE society. We have the indoor environmental quality, and what standards do we have for this? We have standard 55 for thermal comfort. We have standard 62 for ventilation, for large buildings and for low-rise residential buildings. We have standard 170 for the ventilation of healthcare facilities. One of the workhorses in ASHRAE standards is Standard 90, that it gives a cost-effective solution in building design, and provides the minimum energy efficiency requirements, and it doesn't add a lot of burden into the construction of a new building. And of course we have Standard 90.2, that's energy efficient design for low-rise residential buildings. The beauty of ASHRAE is that it's open to the international market. Everybody can influence it, all our members. Standard 90.2, it's open for public review. That means that all colleagues can go in, read the standard and make a comment. And every single comment will be addressed by the committee. And the audience is more than invited to proceed with that and have an influence in that process. I've been asked several times whether we need ASHRAE standards in Europe or not. We said we have our own bodies that create them. As an engineer, I see ASHRAE as a tool at my disposal that I can use. Even if I don't use it, it makes me a better engineer. It helps my thinking to see on a different level. And I think competition drives our market. Standard 90.4 is for data centers, so we have Standard 90.1 for the rest of the buildings and the 90.4 for the data centers with the minimum design requirements. Standards at the US ASHRAE standards are implemented individually by the jurisdictions, because they make them into their own laws, and each state has their own adaptation, and you see from the top part of the picture how the states have implemented ASHRAE standards. And I would like to go now to Standard 189, which is the high-performance green building standard. It tries to balance the energy efficiency, the environmental responsibility, the resource efficiency, occupancy, comfort, and community sensitivity. What we are trying to make is make the sustainable design doable. It has two paths in its quest, at its disposal. The prescriptive path, where each component is built to a certain self-standard, your values, efficiencies, etc., or performance path that the whole building has to perform at a certain standard which is better than the prescriptive model. So it gives some flexibility. Having said that, we were engineers, most of us are mechanical engineers. In his presidential speech, President Wentz said, when he was young and his father told him he had to join ASHRAE, "Tim, you have to be in that room." Now I have to expand on this, and I think in this room we have to have all professions, because we have to have architects, we have to have structural engineers, because they influence our work and we influence their work. Now in Greece we have a set of international conferences. We had our last international conferences on the built environment, and we always invite other professions to join in, architects by default, and structural engineers, and we even go a bit further up. We try to open our blinds, a little bit more, In one of our previous conferences, we had a psychologist that would talk to us how people would accept our changes. And we even had a philosopher that talked to us about engineering and ethics. We have to broaden our horizons. And then we took the ASHRAE's motto that says the built environment and said, okay, transportation is a built environment, isn't it? So we did another conference on that one, because our work influences even that sector. We have standards to design, and we have standards to compare the energy performance, and that's standard 105. And of course we have the building energy quotient that has two parts, the operation rating and the design rating. That means we design it and see what's its rating, and we see how it operates, because we might design a building and it's perfect, but then it's poorly operated. So we have to address that issue as well. And if we see the labeling system, to the right you see the European different labeling systems in Austria, Italy, Greece and Wales, and to your left and to your right you see the building energy quotient, that it follows a similar color-coded scheme, and it has two markers, one for the design performance and one for the operation performance. And of course, at the disposal of the engineer, there are the advanced energy design guides. These give a 30% energy saving compared to standard 90.1, and a 50% energy saving. These design guides are free to everybody. They can go to the ASHRAE site and download them and use them in their everyday life. And of course, ASHRAE has the green guide, how to design a green building. Okay, we design the building. How do we sustain it? How do we operate and maintain it? We have the guideline 32, and we have standard 180 that talks for inspection and maintenance of commercial building HVAC systems. And of course we have standard 100, energy efficient in existing buildings. These standards, I'm telling you, it's just scratching the surface of the standards that ASHRAE produces. There are a lot more that, according to the needs of each individual, can go and dig deeper and find what he needs for his job. And of course, ASHRAE has created BACnet, a communication protocol, or standard 135. It's been used worldwide now, accepted and used everywhere. Of course, ASHRAE provides one of its wheels of motion is certification. There's 6 certification packages, one for energy assessment, energy modeling, commissioning, healthcare facility design, high performance building design, and building and operations. Do we need them? Well, I'll tell you, I'm an energy assessor in Greece, and I've got the Hellenic title. And I'm also a BEAP, Building Energy Assessor of ASHRAE. It does not give me jurisdiction in Greece, but it made me read the standards, it made me go through them, see their point of view, and I can use them probably in the international arena, outside Europe, in the Middle East, and everywhere else I might go to and have design work to do. And we encourage engineers to take these exams, because even in that way they keep their knowledge up. They need to sit down and rethink the whole process, and we've done that for the last 4 years, and in each society year we offer them, and we'll keep on offering them. And that's all about I would like to say now, and thank you very much. Any questions?